Hey guys, Rachele here with Amethyst Ascension. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are returning, thank you so much for joining me again. So today I'm going to be doing a brief walkthrough of the Geomantic Visions coins that I recently got from James R. Eads. And this is the box that they come in. It says Geomantic Visions is a set of 20 coins created by James R. Eads. Within this box are 16 coins representing the geomantic figures, as well as an additional 4 coins for each of the elements. Also included is an 80-page guidebook on beginner's geomancy. This is the first edition, copyright James R. Eads, 2021, made in China. So just to show you, I took them all out because they're in really tight, so they're a pain. They're hard on the fingers, but you can see there's even a little thing to grip them, but they're in there so tight that, which is good. I mean, you know that you're going to be storing them really well. So it's a great box. So I think you can see all of the coins. Yes, you can. Okay. So I just wanted to go through some of these briefly with you. It says, I want to read the preface or the introduction to you. I want to preface this book with a big thank you. Geomantic Visions was a dream of mine for a while, but because of the Cosmovision's Kickstarter backers, this dream was fast-tracked to a reality. Geomancy is one of the oldest forms of divination. It has been traced back to Arabic texts from the 6th century, but it has likely existed much longer. It was widely used in medieval times and has since evolved through the centuries, gaining and losing public attention, yet still the bones of geomancy has remained the same throughout time. This book is meant to serve you as an initial step into the world of geomancy, but if you wish to continue your journey, it should not serve as a definitive guide. I consulted many books and sources while learning geomancy, as well as while writing this book. This book is a simplified summation of what I have learned and something I wished I had when I was beginning my journey. Within it, you will find the basics of geomancy, how to do a traditional geomantic reading, an exploration of the geomantic shield, and a brief introduction into astrological geomancy. But there are many other facets to geomancy that will not be covered in this book. At the end of the book, I've listed my sources and recommendations if you are interested in continuing your journey into geomancy. Some part of your fate has led you to reading this, so it is my guess that you will want to dive deeper into the magic that is geomancy. So he talks about the beginnings. It says the difference between tarot and geomancy was first described to me as this. Geomancy will help you answer a yes or no question, while tarot will tell you what is happening in your subconscious world. I later learned that this wasn't quite so much the case, but it did help to understand the idea behind geomancy. What I later came to realize, so that geomancy reveals to us the possible outcomes of a quasited situation in the timeline that we are currently living in. It assumes that the intertwined fates of this outcome are already in play and that it is the truth of the future. Now, while this does put into question the idea of free will, nothing is unchangeable. If change is desired, it can be created. And more about it, but goes on to talk about how to use the coins, and that there are 4 coins that are included, and they're the elemental coins. So you have your fire, air, water, and earth, which I will show you here. Fire, and on the other side it's like double fire, earth, double earth, air, and double air, and the lotus for water, and the double lotus. All right. I'm not going to get into, in this book, all of the ways that you're supposed to do it. I'm just going to get into just a basic for, breaking it down for this video. Just so you understand if you've never worked with geomancy before. It says understanding the figures, and then it shows the populace and the vaya. And from what I read, each one of these is a combination of either of those. So like the fullest is populace, and then the least is vaya. So you can have any combination of those in between. Every figure in between these two contains variations of 1 or 2 dots in each line. So something that I will show you as we go along, because these are actually what geomancy is. It's the dots. It's not the pictures. He put the pictures, the artwork on the front in order to kind of remind you, but there's the geomancy right there. So these are below is another way to order the figures, which will help you with understanding how simplified the form of divination is. This form, each figure has a counterpart or an inversion where the opposite formation of dots make up the counterpart. So you see, Acquisio and Ormisio, they're like opposites of each other. Some are like upside down. Most of them are upside down. Some are like inverted, like an upside down Y and then an upside Y. Same with that too. And then he even talks about favorable and unfavorable figures. So these are your most favorable ones. Acquisito, Fortuna Major, and Leticia. And then we've got our most favorable, mostly favorable. Then we've got neutral, mostly unfavorable, and unfavorable. And he does state that it depends on what it is that you are, the kind of questions that you're asking, whether or not you want something that's favorable or non-favorable. So it's not as cut and dry as like negative and positive. It depends really on many factors. And then there's also, he talks about stable and unstable figures. So when we're interpreting a geomantic reading, we also want to look at the stability of the figures that appear. There are 8 stable and 8 unstable figures in geomancy. Stable figures suggest that something may last or maintain for quite some time, whereas an unstable figure suggests that it will be short-term or fleeting. So one of the examples was like, if you get the major, the Fortuna Major or the Fortuna Minor. The Fortuna Major is like a long-term, like prosperity and wealth and stuff like that, good fortune. Whereas Fortuna Minor, although it's still a positive, it's just like a temporary kind of thing. It's not a long-term outcome kind of thing. And then we have geomancy and the elements. So one of the first things to understand about the makeup of the figures is the importance of the elements in geomancy. It is at the heart of the magic. Okay, so for instance, each one of these, like I had showed you, like Vaya, there's 4 lines here, or like Populous. You see how each one of them, there's 4, okay? So the first line is fire, the second line is air, the third line is water, and then the fourth one is earth. So each line in the structure of a geomantic figure also represents a part of the body. So fire is represented by the head, then air is represented by the neck and the throat, water is represented by the body, and earth is the feet. And also it talks about like double, okay, so active and passive. So you can see in the different geomantic figures that if you have 1 dot it means it's active. If you have 2 dots, it means it's passive. So, well, I think it's in the next, no, it's not. Well, so what that means here, so we'll look at a bigger picture of, no, where did I put it? This one is called Acquisitio or Acquisitio, and it's represents gain. Its planet is Jupiter. You know, that makes sense. Expansion, right? Sign is Sagittarius, which also makes sense because Jupiter is the ruler of Sagittarius. The body is the hips and the thighs. So remember, we were talking fire, air, water, earth. So if you look at the opposite side, we've got the double line, then the single line, double, and then single. So the fire is passive, the air is active, the water is passive, and the earth is active. So for instance, it says, fueled by fire and air, the mystic burns with knowledge so immense that it must have been acquired from the gods. Acquisio is Latin for acquire, but this figure is more often referred to as gain. Visually, the formation of dots resembles 2 cups turned upwards, or an open satchel full of coins. Acquisio is balanced with amicio and represents success and gaining something, especially monetary gain. Acquisio is favorable in situations where gain is desired, but unfavorable in situations where loss is desired, like illness or headache. So that's what I was talking about, as in it's not a negative or a positive, it's all in like what questions you're asking. So it is strengthened in the 9th house, which the 9th house in astrology is based off of Sagittarius, and is weakened in the third house, which is its opposite, which is based off of Gemini. So, and then we just go on to all of the different coins. So we've got illumination, planet Mercury, sign Gemini, body, the shoulders, and the lungs. And so we've got passive fire, passive air, active water, and passive earth. And so that's what it does. It goes through all of these. We've got Saturn, we've got the retrograde, we've got Capricorn, the knees and the bones, and it shows what is active and what is passive. And this one's called Cursor. And then you have your definitions. And then we've got Caput Draconis, which is beginnings. So this is the head of the dragon. Planet is Moon, or the North Node, and the sign is also Sagittarius, and the body is the right arm. So we've got passive fire, and then we've got active air, water, and earth. And then it goes on to talk about the next one, which is Cauda Draconis, which is ending. So the end of the dragon, the tail of the dragon. Moon and South Node, which the North Node and South Node is the head and the tail of the dragon. This one, the tail is in Virgo, and the body is the left arm. So we have the right arm and the left arm. And then we have just the opposite of what the last one was, with all the top ones being active and the earth being passive. And then the description. And we've got conjunctio, which is connection. And this one is based off of the Mercury retrograde, sign of Virgo. Body is the digestive system, and it goes on to talk about that. It says the shapeshifter appears as a cloud of entangled limbs and animals. It is the union of everything coming together, and thus the shapeshifter has the ability to connect the unconnected. Fortuna major, Fortuna minor, or lesser fortune. These are just up-close pictures of being able to see all the coins, which are just all really good size. Well, let me grab this one. Oh, I did. And then you see so let me get through all those. Well, I suppose I can show you. Joy, populace, the many, puella, harmony, poor, action, rubius, which is violence. It's the Mars retrograde, sign of Scorpio. The body, it's the reproductive system. And then you see the passive, and then we've got Testicia, sorrow, planet is Saturn, and the sign of is Aquarius. So this is kind of what I'm seeing, even by what I've seen back here. It seems like it's based more off like a Vedic astrology kind of, which is because it's got like the different, it's not the wheel. It's like the Indian, what is that? The Northern Indian and Southern Indian chart. So then we've got Vaya, waning moon, sign of Cancer, body, stomach, and it's change. And they're all active. Traditional geomancy. The terminology of doing a geomantic reading is called casting a shield. A geomantic shield pictured above is formed based on a query or a question that you are asking. A geomantic figure will fill each of the 15 boxes in the shield. Geomancy is meant to prepare your mind and soul for what answers it may reveal, and to open your heart to new possibilities. Like all forms of divination, geomancy can be used incorrectly. Before you cast your question, make sure that your intentions are pure and that it is something truly important. Geomancy uses a system of mathematical recursion to develop every figure in the shield based on the previous symbols. That means that everything in the shield is dependent on what came before it. Okay. So there's obviously more to it. And it looks like a lot of counting. Okay. Obviously, I've got lots to read. Now, it talks about the mothers. The mothers are the most important 4 figures of the geomantic shield and are what determine the fate of everything that follows. Place the 4 mothers that you generated into the boxes here. Okay, so this is the shield. This is the format. So then you have to place the 4. Okay, and then we've got the daughters, which fill out this area. And then we've got the nieces that come down here. And then we've got, oh, both nieces come down here. We've got the witnesses, which are down here and here. And then the judge. The judge is the final figure in the geomantic shield and rests at the bottom. It is the accumulation of all the figures at the chart, in the chart, and is the figure that we first look to for a favorable or unfavorable outcome. Ooh, this is interesting. The judge can only be formed from an even number of points, since it is the sum of both sides of the geomantic shield. So this means that only 8 of the 16 figures can ever end up being the judge. It's a good way to check if you did your math right. Oh, this is going to be excellent. Oh my gosh. The possible judges are, wow. Okay, this is going to be really, really cool. I've definitely got some reading to do. So the outcome. The reconciler is the optional 16th position that is usually written to the side of the shield. The reconciler can offer information on how the outcome will affect the querent. The reconciler is formed by taking the figure in the position of mother, number 1, and the judge and adding them together. In the above example, we would take the judge, cursor, and the first mother, pure, and get rubius, another indicator that taking this job may not be advised, as it may cause the querent to escape into their vices. Oh my goodness. So, and it looks like we've got different, we can also break down the Geomantic shield into 4 triplicities so that they may go even deeper into the meaning behind all the figures that appear in the chart. So it talks about that. Excuse me. The way of the points. The way of the points is a good method to employ when you want to find hidden information or hidden influence in your chart that may be worth looking into, or if you are unsure of the ruling. This is a simple method to trace back to the root of the problem. Oh. Astrological geomancy. That's what I mean. This is more based off, looks like Vedic. So, for more complex questions or to develop a deeper understanding of the shield chart, geomancers have turned to the cosmos for answers. This is where both the zodiac and the astrological houses come into play to give geomancy even more depth. Astrological geomancy uses the geomantic shield and restructures it to fit the 12 houses of the zodiac. Below you will find the house chart, which uses the first 12 figures of the shield, the mothers, daughters, and nieces, to fill the 12 houses. This chart has also been adapted more modernly to include space for the 2 witnesses and the judge in the center, although they aren't in play as much in this chart. To fill the astrological chart, take Mother 1 and place it in the 1st house, and so on, ending with the 4th niece in the 12th house, which I've got to read more about that, but wow, that is cool. And then there's a rundown of what each of the houses symbolizes, like the 1st house, which is based off of Aries, is we look at the 1st house to understand the self, the personality, temperament. Then we go on to 2nd house based off of Taurus, which is the house of prophets and laws. Then the 3rd house based off of Gemini, the house of close surroundings, and the 4th of Cancer, which is all very, very cool. And on and on and on, and it tells you what it is. Modes of perfection, obviously more figures to figure out. I love this. Oh, yeah. And then the references that he was talking about, if you want to continue your studies beyond this particular book. Oh, my goodness. So what do you guys think? I'm going to leave a link down below to where I purchased these, where you can get these if they're still available. They were like $50, I believe. And then, of course, the shipping. I mean, wow. So beautiful. This is something that you never really have to worry about them going bad. You know, this is going to last you a lifetime. This is something that you can pass on to your children, you know, and these are great for gifts as well. Just beautiful. Now, see, I even like that they have, like, even they say what they are on them. This one is Caput Draconis, which is the head. And that is the Cauda Draconis, like the tail of the dragon. North node, south node. Woo woo. So there you go, guys. I hope you have enjoyed this walkthrough. And I am sending you love and light. Thank you so much.